Welcome to this brief tutorial on the HR diagrams of star clusters, and this quick video will be working through part 2A, collecting cluster data. At least we'll be working through the first part of it, and that's the tricky part, actually getting the coordinates of all the stars that you'll need to analyze. The first thing we'll need to do is to access a telescope. Choose the largest telescope that you can. You can see here that I've worked through steps 14 and 15 of the quick start guide, and I'm ready to now find the stars that I'll be searching for and taking data on their brightness. So first thing we'll need to do is go to the actual exercise window, and we'll do File, Cluster Data. A window will open up, and you'll choose File again. We're going to View Select from the cluster list. What you'll be doing is looking down the list here to find out which cluster you'll be studying. That's based on your last name. You can refer to the Quick Start Guide or the Canvas page to find out which that is. I'm going to pick a cluster that's not assigned to any students. That'll be MEL 111, so I'll double click on it. The name of the cluster should appear here. I'll hit OK, and it'll list all these stars. These are all the stars in that cluster, and you can see there they are. I'm going to go to Selection, Create New Hot List, and it'll say all these stars have been added to the hot list. Now the hot list goes with the telescope controls. So rather than typing in the coordinates of each star, that would be these numbers right here. Rather than you having to type in these numbers to go to that star, the computer has it memorized, and it's just a matter of clicking on which star you want, and the telescope will automatically go there, save you a considerable amount of time. Now that said, here's the issue. If you have to pause at some point in this exercise, all that data would be lost because it's just in the operating system of the computer. To actually save that, we're going to repeat that. So repeat the selection process, and then the computer is going to go, hey, do you want to save it now? And then you're going to say yes, and this time you're going to actually place your name into it and make sure that you're under your user. I've made a user called Ralph Melf, so maybe I should call him Ralph. Of course, yours will be your first initial and last name. Now, if you've got a whole bunch of stuff showing here, somehow you've ended up in the user folder or even the Virial folder. You'll want to get to the user folder and then to your actual folder. First initial, last name. You hit save, and there you go. They're all on the list. Go ahead and close everything out. That'll take us to just about the end of the steps we need. Let's just check that they're all there. We're going to go to slew, and then I'll also show you how you can move your telescope. We'll go to the observation list. I'll move that over a little bit. Slew, observation hot list, view select from list. So these are the stars you just added. There they all are. You can see that there are quite a bit. Now for this particular exercise, you only need to do 25 stars. Now what I'll tell you is don't do the first 25 stars. Mix it up. Maybe do 5 here, scroll down, do another 5, scroll down, do another 5. There's another way of mixing up the stars. We don't want to do the first 25. That's something called selection bias. Who knows? The first 25 stars might be all the same kind of star. Similarly, you don't want to poll 25 people who come out of a steak restaurant, right, about their dietary habits. There are a lot of people who don't eat steak, right, and you'd be precluding all of those people. Similarly, in this case, we want to kind of have a randomized selection of stars. I'll show you how that would work here in a second, but again, you'll just double click on a star. The coordinates are already entered for you. You'll hit OK, and the telescope will be there. We're on the finder view. Let's zoom in, and let's go to that star. You'll collect the data, and you can look watch the next video to see how that's done. But if we've collected our data, we want to move on to the next star, you just go to the selection list. Remember, we did the first star, so let's pick a star. Maybe I'll pick a few stars down. I'll go to it, and there it is. Now you might notice this star is slightly brighter. This star is slightly dimmer. This star is dim as well. A good technique to make sure that you'll have a good collection of stars is to, if you get a whole bunch of these bright stars and you notice that you don't get a dim star, well, then the next bright star, skip it. So if you get 5 bright stars and you don't have a medium star or you don't have any little stars, just scroll down the list until you get a collection of each. We want a random sampling of all the different stages of the star. Now, that said, if you have a really old cluster, you may not have any bright stars. So it's not a surefire technique, but you want to try to have as many kinds of stars as possible. So that'll wraps up how to actually access the data. Again, that would be the Quick Start Guide, steps 14 through 25. I will show you in the next video how to actually collect the data.